Hi, welcome to Ms. Richardson's U.S. History 5-Minute Lectures. This information will be U.S. Notes 1.15, Women in Reform. It includes information aligned with the second section of your study guide. Remember, you control all the notes. Pause the video when you need, write down any questions you have, and rewatch as often as you need. And of course, use your study guide to help you take your notes. So let's get started. In the last notes, I talked specifically about African Americans and the reforms that impacted just them. Now I want to do the same with women. Many progressives actually were women. They often were middle and upper class women who saw injustices in society and wanted to change them. Their main focus early on was with the family and children, working to make things better in those areas. As time went on, women realized they needed political equality in order to gain the social changes they wanted, and their focus shifted. Some working class women also worked to solve the problems they saw in society. Their children were directly impacted, they were directly impacted, and they wanted change. Tragedies like the Triangle Factory fire caused working women to begin to take notice and want to change things. With the help of others, they were able to fix some issues. One of the main issues that women focused on was child labor. This was a concern of women in all social classes. Upper and middle class women were the individuals who created the National Child Labor Committee to fight to abolish child labor. They worked for issues they cared about. Another issue that gained support among upper and middle class women was temperance, the belief that alcohol caused many of society's problems and therefore should not be consumed. These women formed the temperance organizations, like the Women's Christian Temperance Union, and worked towards prohibition, or the outlawing, of the manufacture, sale, consumption, and possession of alcohol. Women were not actually the only ones who were working towards temperance and prohibition. Some men also supported the idea of temperance. These people believed that alcohol was responsible for many of the issues facing the urban poor. They believed that if working men quit drinking, they would have enough money to support their families. They would also be less likely to go home and beat their wives and children. They would be loving husbands and fathers, good providers, and hard workers. This belief spurred on the movement. Prohibition supporters met with success in 1918 with the passage of the 18th Amendment. This amendment banned alcohol in the United States, and it's the only amendment that was ever repealed, which means it's the only one ever removed from the Constitution. Its passage was actually aided by World War I and the conservation efforts surrounding the conflict. Supporting prohibition during that time became the American or patriotic thing to do. As they fought for prohibition, many women realized they could only gain the changes they wanted if they could have a say in the laws. That meant that they needed the right to vote, which is called suffrage. While this was not a new issue, it gained support during the Progressive Era. Many women and men supported allowing women to vote, while others resisted the idea. So why did some resist? Well, these anti-suffragists often were working class and immigrant men who were concerned that women voting would cause prohibition to pass. Middle and upper class men felt they could take care of the issues and women should focus on children in the household. Also, some who supported the idea of women's suffrage feared being vocal due to the negative treatment of suffragists, or the people who supported women gaining the right to vote. Women who fought for voting rights were seen as unfeminine and immoral. Male suffragists were often scorned, and many suffragists were actually physically attacked. Although they faced many challenges, suffragists kept working towards changing laws regarding women voting. Early groups worked toward changing state by state, but in the Progressive Era, Alice Paul and others began working towards a national constitutional amendment to give all women the right to vote. Suffragists were finally successful in 1920 with the passage of the 19th Amendment. This amendment assured that all women in the United States have the right to vote. Now, I do want you to notice that many men did not support women's suffrage because they feared the passage of prohibition. Prohibition was actually passed in 1918, women's suffrage in 1920. So, who actually voted to pass Prohibition? Yep, you're right, the men. So this is the end of US Notes 1.15. I hope you learned something from the 5-minute lecture, and I will see you in class with any questions that you have.